At Blackfoot Communications, our mission is to connect people, businesses, and communities, bringing a world-class fiber network to homes, communities, and businesses of all sizes. Ensures Montanans have access to fast, reliable, and secure internet and phone services. Are you ready for fiber internet? To find out if fiber is coming to your area, visit goblackfoot.com/readyforfiber. Connect to more with Blackfoot Communications.
Sure. All right, welcome to the weekly Idaho Vandal Press Conference. This is the first week we'll have basketball coaches joining us as well. But we're going to start with Coach Jason Eck coming off of his third top 5 win in just his first 20 games as the head coach here at Idaho. Exciting win over Montana State on the road at Northern Colorado. They're on a 9-game losing streak stretching back to the last game of last year. They're 0-8 this year. But still a Division I team with Division I athletes and a lot to go there. But we'll turn it over to Coach for questions.
Thanks. Yeah, I think starting out with Northern Colorado, I think Ed Lamb, their coach, is a really good coach. You know, the 1 year I'd coached in the Big Sky Conference before I came to Idaho, a couple of years ago, was 2015 when I was at Montana State. And Ed Lamb was a coach at Southern Utah, and they won the Big Sky, and that's an incredible achievement. So he'll get that place going. I think they're a better team than their score, the record would indicate. I know that sounds cliche, but they caught our attention. They were up 21-7 on Weber, who was a preseason top 10 team. Ended up losing by 7 after they turned the ball over a few times against Sac State. That was a really close game, an 8-point game where they had a chance to win it at the end or tie it at the end. So we can't sleep on anybody just because of where they're at. I'm sure he'll have them ready to play, and we got to keep just focusing on ourselves and getting better as a team. So open it for questions.
Start with the offensive line performance in the second half. They had a really bounce back performance starting with Leighton Vining in his first start. Can you kind of just talk about how they were able to bounce back?
Yeah, I think they did a lot of good things. I think the first 2 sacks of the game and the first 2 plays really weren't on the O-line. The first one was a bootleg play where Vonnie's out of the pocket, and they gave us a little different coverage. They kind of rolled coverage to Hatton, so it wasn't open as we had planned. And when you're out of the pocket, you just throw the ball away out of bounds. So we should have taken that. And then the second one, we kind of had a design to throw it to JJ. And they sunk real far underneath JJ and left Therese wide open. The ball should have been out quicker. It was more of a coverage type snack where we got to get through our progression on a newer play. So I thought the O-line did a solid job, admirable. I think Leighton. Biggest thing I was just happy with the Leighton is we don't have any issues with them. All the snaps were good. It was always in the right snap count. And Vonnie's such a good player. The number one job of the center is just don't make Vonnie's life more difficult with anything extracurricular. And I thought Leighton was always blocking the right guy. There were times where he got pushed around at times by, I'm not sure exactly how old Leighton is, probably 18 years old, and he's, blocking a guy who's probably a 22-year-old grown man. And, times where we didn't get as much movement as we'd like, but I thought he helped us operate well. I thought Nate as a party played well. He was kind of our offensive lineman of the game. I thought Aiden Knappich played well, played better. So it was good to see the O-line, rally. And again, we played 6 O-linemen in the game. 5 of those 6 are freshmen or sophomores, and they got to keep working to get better and developing. And I think I see this same group of guys eventually being the best O-line in this conference. It's just, we're not there yet. We got to keep working every day to keep improving and get better, and that's what our team's got to keep doing.
You have 2 more young guys on the defensive side of the ball, and Avalava and Amani Arnold, who have had impressive seasons so far this year. What have you kind of liked from the beginning of the year to where they're at?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's something that's even more exciting. We started 3 true freshmen and a redshirt freshman on defense in that game, and played our tails off on defense. Dallas, just active, gets off blocks, probably at a better level than the rest of our D tackles right now, and it was a heck of a rush on the 2nd and 10 play to get them into 3rd and 17. The last series, that was a great beat this guy one-on-one for a sack. And, I think that's always really tough when you can get pressure from 3 techniques who can rush the passers over the guards. It's tougher. You can really good defensive ends on the tackle. You can chip at the back. You can leave the tight end in. But when you have a really good 3 technique, that really causes some huge structural things to try to double team him. So he's been a difference maker. Armani, they try to throw a lot of deep balls his way on Saturday. He didn't give up one deep ball. I know he gave up one, come back in front of him, but really did a good job staying on top of the deep balls. And I think he's played at a high level all year for us. And then Exry, I thought it was his first start at Will, and I thought he played very well and made some plays. And still has some things to learn, some things he can get better at, but he's a playmaker. He shows up and makes plays when he gets his opportunities.
To Exry, I mean, you mentioned that he's a playmaker. He's all over the field. He's fun to watch. What are those things?
Just being exactly in the right position. One of the plays he actually made a tackle on. He's kind of stepping up to the line like it's a play action, but there was no play action. It was more of a drop back. But he was able to make the tackle when the quarterback scrambled. He had another play where just, based on the blocking scheme and a blitz alignment, he probably should have been bumped over like 2 gaps in his alignment, and he made it a little easier for the guy to block him than if he had been, flowing over to where he should be. So little things like that, making sure in zone coverages he's got to the right landmark in his drop. But those are things that are fixable. They're easier to fix those things than just a knack for making plays when you can make a play. So he's a guy who, pushed that we need to keep playing more, and that was the most he played and played well.
Coach, do you expect Keyshawn back this season?
Keyshawn's going to be back this season. Probably not this week, but very optimistic about Weber State. So he's been doing a really nice job with his rehab and responding well. So we'll like I said, very, very optimistic that he'd be back in 2 weeks. And I know he's extremely motivated because he's got a lot of family in southern Idaho where it would be, even though it's out of state, it would actually be closer for family to drive to Weber than to come up here. So I think that's probably given him a little tinge of extra motivation that he really wants to get back for that game.
And you mentioned on Saturday the need to move on quickly after that big win against Montana State. You mentioned Northern Colorado has played some close games with some of the top teams.
Particularly at home. Like I said, I think they're a little bit of a different team at home and the road. And I'll give you my thoughts, and I'll let you answer your question. I know I kind of cut you off. But, our players got to do a good job. We've played in front of 2 sellouts in a row. It's not going to be a sellout Saturday in Greeley. There's probably going to be about 3,000 people there. So we got to do a great job of, BYOJ, bring your own juice and be ready to go and be ready to get excited on your own because, tough not to be fired up when you walk out in the tunnel and you see a sellout crowd in there and it's packed. We got to make sure we're not flat because we don't have that. So carry on.
Yeah, you mentioned the need to, keep the practice intensity high, especially going into this game, and you mentioned their record isn't indicative of what kind of team they are. What do you hope to see this week heading into this game that would kind of give you the confidence that your team is not going to overlook a team like that?
Yeah, just really the same level of preparation we had last 2 weeks. I thought we had 2 really good weeks of practice for it wasn't all directed straight towards Montana State, but we strung together 2 really good weeks of focused practice. I think it helped us have an extra time to prepare for that team that's that good. And we just got to see that same level come off. We're going to keep, this year, at this point in the season, you're concerned about keeping your team fresh. So I think, I was looking at the schedule before I came down here, probably going to try to, maybe shorten practice another 5 minutes. We shortened it a little bit last week, but we still want great intensity. What I don't want to do is cut the intensity down. I want to keep the intensity and just shorten the time out on the field to make sure that we're fresh and playing fast come Saturday. But again, I made a big point to their coaching staff today, and tonight when we meet with the players, I'll make a big point with the players as well that we gotta, we can't have it look differently. Our preparation now, we need to prepare the same way we did for the team that was 6-1 as this team, who doesn't have as good a record.
And obviously, Montana State is an explosive offense, but when you look back on the tape there in the third quarter, early fourth quarter, what are some of the things you didn't like from your defense that you're looking to shore up?
Yeah, we've given up a huge play on the same route 2 weeks in a row, and that's something that we got to fix as coaches because that's. I told this athletes yesterday. I said, hey, when you're always going to have some mistakes in the game, but if something happens 2 weeks in a row, that's on us. We got to get that fixed. We got to make sure we got the guys in the right spots. We got to make sure we're in the right coverages that we can execute. So we got to do a better job of that. That was one of the big plays. Another one was just a little bit of a lack of discipline through one of our veteran guys. And, I said we got to keep having that accountability. We can't have freshmen, we're starting 4 freshmen on defense right now. We can't have freshman mistakes from the other guys, so, there's a lot of stuff. I think this is an adage in football. When you flip on the tape, how you feel coming off the field, it's usually not as bad as you think, or it's not as good as you think. And again, there's plenty of stuff we can build off in that game that we can do better and play better. And we'll make sure we point all that stuff out to our guys that, just because we had a good win doesn't mean we've got it figured out. We played a perfect game or anything. There's still a lot of things that we can improve on. And, I think giving up explosive plays, we did a pretty good job in the game. They had 3 explosive plays, which is a low number for them. But 2 of those 3 were those 2 scoring drives they had, to take a lead, 14-10 in the third quarter. So those, you can see explosive plays translate very often to scoring.
The Bobcats defense really keyed in on Hayden Hackey, especially in the first half, and then he has late game heroics. How nice is it to have other receivers to go to, and how they were able to play, and how Giovanni was able to get the ball out, and also get it to Nick Romano and some of those guys?
Yeah, I thought. One thing I thought game planning, I think Coach Schleissner really had a good plan of, getting the running backs the ball in the passing game. I thought both those guys did a good job, and that was something I thought we didn't do a great job of in the Montana game. Even if a team is stopping our run, we still need, Woods and Romano to get touches. I also thought, we used screens and draws effectively. They were basically receiver screens, those perimeter flares, but we also had some receiver screens that were effective. Our draw game, which was a little bit of something new. We hadn't done a lot of that up to this point, but we used some quarterback draws. And then, I think all those things help the O-line, help the rush, so it's not always drop back pass. And then Vonnie does a good job of getting through his progressions. I think particularly when he has the plays that he's the most comfortable with, our top plays that we've repped a lot, he's really good at getting those through those progressions. And Terez made some great plays in the game. Jermaine makes a great play on that deep ball. We've got guys to go to. It's not like we only have one hope and we got to force it to that guy all the time.
Final 3 games. Is it now? Obviously, you don't want to coast. You don't. The word trap game and whatnot comes up. But how do you make sure that you just keep the guys focused and for this week and then for the next couple weeks?
We had to do a great job as coaches, just keeping the moment of getting better. I know. I think I read the coach from Texas San Antonio is doing a pretty good job down there. He got about 110 mouse traps and put them in everybody's thing. I don't know if we have the budget for that, so we'll make sure we emphasize that we're not going to take the cheese and we got to take care of our business, and we just can't get ahead of ourselves. We got to go have a great practice tomorrow and Tuesday, great practice Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Travel down there and then play our best football, and just the nature of football, you got to play very consistent. It's not like the playoffs right now, the World Series, where it's a 7-game series and you can have one stinker and bounce back. In football, you get to playoff time, it's one and done. So you got to be, at or near your best every opportunity and keep trying to raise your margin of error by how well you're playing, that you can, sustain, some mistakes, but you want to play as good as you can, as high a level as you can. Not going to be perfect, but, play at as high a level consistently as you can.
What kind of specifics on tape stick out about Northern Colorado that maybe make them seem better than the record indicates?
Yeah, I think they played good defense at home. Again, they had, Weber, really only had 7 points, and then they had 2 interceptions that set up, really their last 2 touchdowns, and then ended the game on the interception. I think Sac State's a very good offense, and they held Sac State to 21, points there. So I think their defense has been timely. I think they haven't always been the most complimentary. They have 8 interceptions they've thrown, which just kind of put them, I think about 3 of them were in the Weber game that put them in bad, situations. So, they're having some times where, one side of the ball maybe having a bad day is affecting the other side of it. But they have some good players, guys who stand out. The running back, I think, is pretty good. Afari, he had, against us, he ran for like 6.3 yards a carry last year. This is a team, they were up 20-17 late in the second quarter against us on the road last year, and we had to come back to win the game. And sometimes you forget about that stuff. You see the final score that we won by 20, you think, well, we blew them out. We were down twice. They took 2 leads on us, and the quarterback came in at the end and threw a touchdown pass. Who's for him now, Sermon. He's a strong arm guy. Was a Power 5 recruit. I believe was at Washington originally, and then. I think they have some good skill. Haggerty's made some plays for them. They've had some guys who've caught some deep balls on people. They've been able to burn some people in man coverage. So we got to make sure we do a good job with our matchups and getting our best guys in there. I think their secondary's pretty good. Lewis, the corner, I think stood out to me on film. I think they have good safeties with Johnson and Murray. So they have some good players. I have a ton of respect for Coach Lamb, just what he did building Southern Utah. So I don't see them. I think they're going to come out and play really well, like they had their last 2 home games, and be in the football game.
You touched on it a little bit in the first game. That pass that McCoy threw to Haddon at 12 yards. It's all over Twitter now. Kind of just touch on how special they are.
Big time players make big time plays, man, in a big time game. I mean, that throw was perfect. That truly was perfection. Where he placed the ball, they were in a bracket coverage where the receiver was playing man, and then the safety, they had 2 high safeties, and the safety on that side is freed up to go help, and he was really a single receiver, so there's only one place to help, and 26 did a good job of trying to get over there and get in the lane, and it's probably by 2 inches or something that he doesn't tip the ball, and just the ball placement of where he put it on his back shoulder back to the pylon, so it was away from the corner and away from the outstretched arms. An amazing play, and those are sometimes tougher catches than you think too, because that guy's coming towards you. Is he going to hit you? Is he trying to play the ball? Sometimes his hand is in the sight of vision and makes you lose sight of the ball. Amazing play, amazing play, and put it in the perfect spot. And again, that's players win games, and the players, those 2 guys being 2 of our best players, that's what you hope and expect from those guys, and they certainly delivered.
Join Town Pump's Pump It Up Rewards Plus program and never pay full price for fuel again.
Save 5 cents on every gallon every day at any Town Pump across Montana.
Plus, earn and redeem points on your favorite in-store items to get free stuff with our clubs.
Stop in and pick up a rewards card. Download the Pump It Up Rewards Plus app today.
Or visit townpump.com/rewards to register and start saving.
Town Pump. Right down